Thanks for listening and subscribing to episode 245 of the Clive Barker Podcast, the only podcast dedicated to the imagination of Clive Barker. In this episode, Jose and Ryan catch up with Nightbreed and Hellraiser news, a pesky rumor about Clive Barker and a late 90s film, and a final word on the fundraiser. Clive Barker Podcast presents Fundraiser 7, Deader. Did we succeed? What do we have left? This episode is sponsored by Don Bertram's Celebrate Imagination. Don Bertram's Celebrate Imagination shop is dedicated to benefiting the Arts in Medicine program at Texas Children's Cancer Center. Up to 50% of the proceeds will support the program where artist Don Bertram volunteers monthly. There's a new feature video that shows Don working with the kids at Texas Children's Cancer Center and his artwork. Click the side banner at www.clivebarkercast.com to find links and videos to his Etsy shop where you can buy his prints, books, and support his wonderful program. Hey, this is episode 245 of the Clive Barker Podcast. We're back. And this is kind of a news episode. We're catching up. Jose and I have just spent like a half an hour catching up on other stuff that's not related to the podcast too. But yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of changes going on in my life right now. And it's been very busy. And sorry, Ed, if you're listening to this, I haven't texted you back. Ed sent me a text the other day saying he had some stuff he wanted to talk to me about. And I was like, I'll catch up before the next episode. But unfortunately, I haven't been able to because I'm in the process of packing my house again. There's some serious changes happening. So we'll see how that goes. It's been real busy. So apologies for the long hiatus. But yeah, we were chatting about news that we're going to talk about and we were catching up on what we've been doing. And Ryan, I hear that you saw The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was really good. I watched it last night. No, the night before. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Thursday night.
Yeah, so was it a family outing?
No. Okay. Joel won't watch any movies or TV shows.
Okay.
He just refuses. He doesn't like dramatic tension. You know, it freaks him out, and he just doesn't. Even comedies and stuff, he just won't watch them.
Okay. So you think do you recommend watching Rise of Skywalker? Because I haven't seen it yet.
Well, I've been reading a lot. I've been seeing a lot of people saying they don't like it and seeing that there's bad reviews. So I don't know. I really liked it. I thought it was cool. And I've been sort of reserving judgment on this whole new trilogy until I saw the last movie to see how they all kind of fit together. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy with it. I thought it was really good. It's, kind of simplistic, but I think that the original Star Wars movies are simplistic, the first three. So,
yeah. Sure. Yeah, I got recently the Ewok Adventure from 1984.
Right.
I found a videotape on Goodwill, and I bought it for like 25 cents.
I didn't know those movies ever got released. I only ever saw them on TV when they aired the first time.
Yeah, I think there might be on Blu-ray, at least DVD for sure, I think.
There's two Ewok movies in the holiday special.
Right, yeah, Caravan of Courage, and then it was, I think, The Ewok Adventure. That's a pretty generic title. I don't know why they called it that. And then there's the holiday special, which it's funny. I'm here in Phoenix, Arizona, and there was a theater here that announced that they were going to play the Christmas, the holiday special for Star Wars. And they put that event on Facebook, and it was up for the longest time. It was up for like maybe 2-3 weeks, and they were selling tickets and stuff. And I was like, oh, cool, I might go and check it out. And then like a week ago or so, they just said, well, unfortunately, we got news from the mouse, and they told us we can't screen this. And so they canceled it, which is, I'm sorry to say, that I understand. I mean, there's no legitimate release, so they would be screening a bootleg. So, of course, Disney, and George Lucas, they were like, you can't do that, It wasn't going to be a lot of people. It was going to be a one-shot thing. But anyway, they shut it down. So thank you, Disney.
It used to be that George Lucas wanted to destroy all the copies of that, and he hated it so much. But it's like with Disney, you'd think they just want to, preserve it.
Yeah. I mean, they could put it on Disney Plus. I'm sure they would make a killing of people signing up just to watch that thing in good quality.
Yeah.
Because there is no good quality version of that. It's all bootleg tapes that someone recorded on VHS back when it aired. Yeah. And then you got weird stuff, like 20-minute segment of Wookiees just growling at each other with no dialogue. Yeah. And it's the first time that Boba Fett appeared. Even before, was it Return of the Jedi? Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back.
Empire Strikes Back. Yeah. So maybe they should at least preserve that cartoon and put it up on Disney Plus. I mean, that would be great. It's a good cartoon. I don't know if you remember that segment, but it was a really good adventure.
What segment?
Boba Fett and the Christmas special, the Star Wars holiday special.
Yeah, right.
There's a cartoon segment with Boba Fett.
I barely remember that holiday special at all. I mean, I saw it on TV when it aired, but that's the only time I've ever seen it.
You repressed the memories of it.
Well, I probably liked it, back then.
Sure, yeah.
I was desperate for anything that was Star Wars.
Yeah, and last night I was going through Pluto TV. Some of you out there might use Pluto TV because I kind of cut the cord on cable, so now I use Pluto TV. And the Shout Factory channel that plays all these things that have been released by Shout Factory, they were playing the Nightbreed Director's Cut last night. I was flipping channels, and there was, Narcisse and Boone talking in the hospital. Yeah. And I was like, hey, this is cool. They were playing the Director's Cut. So seems like the Director's Cut pretty much just replaced the theatrical cut. I'm happy about that.
I think for the most part it did. And I guess that kind of segues us into the news because the Screen Rant did a blog post about the Nightbreed TV series and what we know so far, and I was reading through it and I couldn't. It's been this news has been out so long, about this show that I couldn't remember what was news and what's just old stuff. But they talked about it stars Laurie and Boone. They said it takes place after the events of the movie. Mm-hmm. Which that might be new. I can't remember, and that Boone has to deal with the death of his fiance, which is interesting. That Laurie is dead because she was she would be like after the director's cut she would be like Cabal, and Peliquin, and bullets and stuff don't hurt her, so.
That is strange. I do remember that there was a treatment that circulated. That was a treatment by Clive Barker and another writer. What was his name? I forgot.
Stolberg?
No, before that. Oh. Before the director's cut came out.
The Matt Venn.
Yeah, Matt Venn. Yeah, exactly. And that one, Laurie would die too. In the first episodes or something. So, but
why does everybody want to kill Laurie?
I think it's because this is probably still an echo from the theatrical cut ending where Laurie is still just human, Yeah. Maybe people were just trying to continue that story. And, you remember that book that came out with stories by other authors called Midian Unmade? Yeah. And that one was kind of a mess because some people were using the ending, we're following up on the ending of the theatrical cut, while other people just wanted to, create their own ending and stuff. So it seems like when a movie has different endings, it's kind of pick your own adventure, right? Yeah. So you can pick it up wherever you want and then go from there. And like you said, Laurie is Nightbreed at the end of the director's cut. So it's weird that Laurie would die. But on the same page, Simon Bamford's character Onaka was Nightbreed, and all these other characters were Nightbreed, and they get killed during the Midian storm. So it's not impossible for a breed to die. Yeah. It's just surprising that such a big character will be killed off.
Well, and it'll be interesting to see what threads they follow. Because you got the book, you've got the director's cut, and you've got the theatrical cut, and they're going to be trying to figure out, okay, which one would fans want more. Which thread? So in this Screen Rant article that was published on December 15, it says here that we've mentioned this before, but Clive Barker and Josh Stolberg are attached to the project in a creative capacity. Stolberg, who wrote Piranha 3D and Jigsaw, is on board as the main writer for the series,
while Barker will act in a consulting capacity for suggestions, lore insights, and other ideas that only the creator of the original source material can provide. And he's going to be an executive producer along with the guy from Morgan Creek. So that's James G. Robinson, David Robinson, his son, and Barbara Wall. I think she's in charge of development of property development or something like that, as well as Mark Miller of Seraphim Films. So it seems Mark Miller is still going to be attached to this because the project was developed while he was still directing, heading Seraphim.
Well, and I know that was out like a year or two ago. So we don't know if that's still the case. If he would have wanted to continue doing that.
Sure. Yeah. And then it seems like there's a director that might be attached already to the project. Yeah, although a name has not been revealed.
Yeah, but they didn't want to say who it was.
Yep.
So this project seems pretty slow going as far as like TV series.
And I think this is just going to be a pilot first. Yeah.
And it's still Sci-Fi Channel, right?
Yes, that's what it says here, Sci-Fi Channel. And I'm just a little concerned about the wording of the article in the sense because they say that what it says here. Let's see. It says that they call the Nightbreed. The story deals with an ancient civilization of mutants living under a cemetery who are drawn into a psychodrama involving a mad doctor whose goal is to kill them. So I don't know if you can call the Nightbreed mutants though, but I guess you can. It's I'm just nitpicking at it.
Well, and they also said that it was going to be Decker was the mad doctor.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so again, that there's another thread. It's like, okay, well, depending on which version you watch, I mean, Decker is kind of Nightbreed, in the theatrical ending, and he's dead in the Cabal cut. Right.
And in the TV series that was floating around a while ago, that was based on the Matt Venn, Clive Barker treatment. Yeah. I think the new villain for the show, which is it's not the one that Josh Stolberg is developing. It was another project that I think we talked about with Michael. Yeah. It was going to be also a kind of a mad doctor called the Vise, and he was going to be creating an army of mutants using Nightbreed genes or something.
And so they were sort of like neo-Nazi type of
Yeah. So that seems like that might be out of the picture. But so this new thing that's being developed, Josh Stolberg, wasn't he going to be attached to another project and then he dropped out and now is still attached to this one? Was it going to be the Weave World project that he was also attached?
Yeah, right. So the Weave World project is dead as far as we know, or just like, on indefinite pause or, whatever Hollywood talk.
Right.
But that may never come back. There was also the Great and Secret Show and Imagica that were all kind of announced around the same time. And it's like everything's been quiet about those for more than a year now, so I don't know. Or like 2 or 3 years? It's hard to remember, but
it seems that whenever someone creates or brings back a loved property, like, Star Wars or Nightbreed, they always try to remake the original story, but with different characters, but the same beats. Yeah. And that's why they're saying, oh, Dr. Decker is going to come back. It's like, why? Why do you need to bring back Dr. Decker? I mean, I know some people might be, I want to see Ashbury come back and be like, he's the mad dog that sniffs out the Nightbreed, and, he's going to be with Dr. Decker. But again, bringing back Dr. Decker is an echo of the theatrical cut ending where he is brought back to life, whereas in the director's cut, he does not come back to life, right?
And it's also problematic, and it's one of the things that brought down the Hellraiser franchise is thinking that, okay, the only things you need in Hellraiser are Pinhead and a puzzle box. And so in Nightbreed, it's like, oh, Dr. Decker is an iconic part of Nightbreed, so you got to have him. And I don't care, I don't care how or why, you just get him in there.
Yeah. So it feels like that's a very kind of reductionist idea of how to bring back a beloved property. It's like, let's bring back the things that people will identify with it. Mm-hmm. You can, but as long as you also introduce new stuff to make it more interesting. I mean, it's an entire world that you can create. You can bring into it whatever you want, as long as it's done with the actual person, like Clive Barker. They talk about bringing him in for lore insight. That would be great, because he can create so much stuff. And I just don't want it to be the same thing over and over, and Boone directing Nightbreed into like some other secret hiding place, and Cronenberg, Dr. Decker coming in and destroying that place all over again. I don't want them to like reinvent the wheel, so to speak. Yeah. So that would really disappoint me. But we'll see what's going on. I mean, Josh Stolberg is a pretty good writer. He was involved with certain projects I'm not crazy about, like Piranha 3D and Jigsaw. Yeah.
Well, and going back to that thing you were saying about reductionist and doing the same thing over and over again, and I was at the Thief of Always book signing and talk, from Clive Barker. Somebody asked him about Hellraiser 3, and he just kind of talked about it in this way of like, the third movies are never really that great, and he said, look at Star Wars. They just did the Death Star again, and he said, look at Alien 3, and I like both of those movies, so this is kind of problematic for me. But at the same time, hopefully Clive it does have that kind of thing in his mind that you can't just redo the same stuff over and over again.
I have confidence in that they will not just do a quick cash grab and just bring back the same beats. I'm sure with Clive involved and with a good writer that this will introduce new stuff as well, because otherwise you have to have a hook to have people, if they're going to make a pilot, you need a good hook. You need to have a good cliffhanger. You need to excite people about this, not just be like, oh, okay, I've seen this before, Yeah. So, let's see what happens. It's good that it's still moving,
I would say give the fans some credit and, show us something interesting, something cool, and something new, and you can put in little nods to the movie, but don't just remake it.
Don't bring back Dr. Decker with the same mask and the same knives and the same group of mutants hiding underground, and Dr. Decker is coming to kill them. It's like, we've seen that. Do something else, because that's the way that you're gonna get people excited and get people hooked into opening a door into a bigger world, not just opening a door into another room in the same house that you knew it was always there. That room. Now you want to open the door and go outside and explore that.
Well, right. And the comics, both series of the comics, tried to explore the idea of what did the Nightbreed do, now that Midian is gone and they have to sort of make their way into the world of humans. And neither one of them did it really successfully because, the first series was kind of all over the place story-wise, and the second series just got cut short and didn't have time to deal with it.
Yeah, I still like the first series better than the second one, because the second one was doing the same thing that I was criticizing, which is, let's show you the origin stories of this Nightbreed and then that Nightbreed and Shuna Sassy and Peliquin. And it's like, okay.
They spent so much time doing that then their series got canceled and they didn't have time to actually create a story.
Yeah, the last couple of issues are just like, wrap it up, people, okay, so everybody's fine, they're all fine. Boone died, but he came back and everything. It's like, okay, all right, fine. At least the first series took a lot of chances, and even though they went in different directions, they went in different, fresh directions. They would show you like, there's been like different saviors of the Nightbreed, and there were different people before Baphomet. There was another guy who led the Nightbreed, and there was, these two monsters who are actually like, Aztec gods or whatever that were seen as gods. There was so much stuff that they were creating that was amazing,
And new primary characters that were in it even more than like Cabal and Laurie and stuff like that.
Like that witch.
Nick Maven and Oral and
Nicodemus. No, was it? No, it was the alchemist guy, right?
Oh yeah. Paracelsus and
Paracelsus.
And Oh no.
The little girl that was
yeah.
actually a monster. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and oh gosh, Gallows, I think was her name.
Right, right. And Lori, they gave her a power, even though it was kind of a weird power to just play a guitar and bring back the dead
yeah.
and reanimate skeletons. But hey, at least they gave her a power, you know?
Yeah.
They moved forward in that direction like they're a perfect complement to the director's cut, right? Because at the end of the comic book, I think it's very close to the director's cut ending.
Yeah, and they had Narcisse live because they were working off of the script, and then when the movie came out, it's like, oh crap,
yeah.
Narcisse
what do we do?
Narcisse is dead. So they mentioned it in the letters. They're like, okay, don't worry, we'll get around to explaining that, but they never did.
Yeah. So it's good that the wheels are still spinning for this. I'm curious to see if this pilot is coming out soon.
Yeah.
When do they say this is going to be developed? Do they throw any dates on this? Let's see.
I thought that I read on there that there was a date, because like there was an article that came up in my feed.
Yeah.
But it was just like a subsequent one that was based off of Screen Rant, and it wasn't written very well. So I went back to the Screen Rant one, which is the original article, but I couldn't find anywhere in the Screen Rant article that actually said a release date.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, because I'm seeing Nightbreed TV series updates, release date, and story details, but there's no date mentioned here.
Yeah,
that's very strange.
I couldn't find it either.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, and I'll we've got that little side section on our blog that says like upcoming releases and rumors and stuff. I got to go through that and update it for next year. Sure.
So the next item in the news is that Clive Barker artwork is for sale at the Clive Barker Archive. So if you want a chance to get an original piece by Clive Barker, just go to clivebarkerarchive.com, and they have more stuff there at the store.
Yeah, and so I looked through those. They look really cool. I don't have the kind of money, that it would take to buy one of those. But another thing they do have that you and I are going to be getting for our upcoming series is the Imaginer 7. You can pre-order it still.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Phil and Sarah, for assisting us with our Kickstarter. You guys sent us a whole bunch of Imaginer books, and that's great. I appreciate that so much. It's amazing, and now we'll be able to give them good homes.
Yeah. So they send us Imaginer books, and they also send us the Magician, the playbook, and those Magician books sold really well. Mm-hmm. People really kind of responded to that, and maybe in part also because it was those are a great deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I can plug the Imaginer 7, let me just read you a little bit of what it says on the archive. Following the fabulous reaction to the first 6 volumes of Clive Barker Imaginer, we're delighted to open pre-orders for Volume 7 of the Imaginer series. So there's going to be 3 options available. One of them is going to disappear on October 28th that already passed. That was October 28th of this year. Yeah. But there's the regular edition, 1,000 copies. There's the deluxe edition signed by Clive, again, 100 numbered copies like the other ones. Mm-hmm. And then it says here, limited time only until 28 October 2020. Have your name printed in all copies as a special thank you for your support of the Imaginer Art Archiving Project by selecting the deluxe edition with thanks option. They'll come with an exclusive A5 art card featuring art from the Imaginer series, and all copies will also include an A4 mini poster. So if you go to clivebarkerarchive.com, you can order an Imaginer 7 in the store.
And they also did a similar thing with Imaginer 8, where you could just prepay $100 in advance and get your name into Imaginer 8, and this is like before you can even pre-order the book.
Yeah. And I'm looking at the studio sketches that they have available. There's still a few. You got some cool sketches on paper. They start at $400. Some of them go up to $700, $1,800, $450. There's some really cool stuff here. There's deluxe prints as well. Oh, actually, that's sold out. And there's some interesting Abarat Island sketches that Clive's done as well. For $450 for the A005, $750 for the A007, which is a floating face. there's a lot of interesting stuff in here. Like you said, if things go well and I do get to move to a different state and I do get a better job, I may be able to buy a couple of these sketches at some point. So, I hope they keep putting more art into it. And there's a really amazing one, the Studio Sketch 035, being offered by $950. That looks amazing.
Yeah, it's like some kind of a worm. I wonder if it's a Tarata.
Yeah, that would be great.
They have like needle teeth, I remembered.
Yeah, it looks like a weird snake or a fish. Yeah. So that's so really cool.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. That's awesome.
So yeah, if you ever wanted to have Clive Barker on your walls, this is your chance.
Yeah, go check it out. So we normally, because there are so many different international versions of Clive Barker books, we normally don't make stories every single time there's one of those. But this one was really cool. Daniel Serra, the artist, has made an illustrated German edition that's got Tortured Souls and Infernal Parade together in one volume. And he illustrated the whole thing.
Yeah, for the German market. Yeah. So amazing. I mean, I think we've shared some of his posts of work in progress in our Facebook page.
Yeah.
And it's really beautiful style. I mean, he's illustrated stuff before for books by Barbie Wilde, for example. And he's done, he did the cover for the Venus Complex. I think he did some artwork that was featured inside another one of Barbie Wilde's books. And he's been doing, he did a cover anthology.
Covers, which were awesome.
Yeah. So he's got a very distinctive style, and it's always a pleasure to see his art grace the covers of Clive Barker books. So very cool stuff.
I have to say, it's not often that I'm jealous of an international version of a book, but it's like, I like the ones that we got just fine of Tortured Souls and Infernal Parade, but this would be really neat. And, why not put them together in one book? They're both pretty short anyway.
Yeah, agreed. And some of these foreign editions can be even more impressive than the actual American or British editions sometimes. I mean, there are some Abarat editions for the Japanese market that are crazy.
Yeah, that would be really cool also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you ever curious about getting an Abarat from Japan and see if you could read the story?
It would be no. That would be
too hard.
Yeah. I mean, my reading level, because they replaced Japanese words with the alphabet with Chinese characters, and there's 60,000 of those. So my reading level is like a kindergartner in Japanese. So, I couldn't read a newspaper.
Well, when I started reading books in English, one of my first books was Clive Barker stuff. So I would have a dictionary next to me, and if Clive used a word I didn't recognize, I would just go and look it up. That was a great way to gather vocabulary. But I imagine for Japanese kanji, that would be a more involved process.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I like when there's when there's an alphabetic pronunciation guide above the kanji. That helps. Mm-hmm. But they only do that for kids. So.
Yep. So great stuff from Daniel Serra. So if you're in Germany, if you're listening to this, Buchheim Verlag has released The Tortured Souls plus The Infernal Parade, and it's got amazing illustrations, so go check it out.
Yeah. And then Mondo is releasing Hellraiser 2 and 3 soundtrack vinyls. And so I'm not sure how old this story is. We'll take a look here really quick and see if those are even still available.
It was November 20 that they posted about this. Let's open up their website and see if it's still available. So that would be under music. And wow, it looks like Mondo has a vinyl for the Unsolved Mysteries soundtrack. That's cool. With Robert Stack.
Yeah.
Let's see. They got a lot of stuff in their store. They got all sorts of movies here. Yep, Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, original motion picture soundtrack. It's a double LP, and it's being sold for $30. This is pretty cheap, pretty accessible. I might just get this one. And
my memory of that was that they sold like the Rock soundtrack back in the day when the movie came out, but they never really sold the musical score, right?
Yeah, and Hellbound's soundtrack is also being sold at mondotees.com for $30. It's 180 gram Leviathan vinyl, and they got some pictures. It's got Julia on the face, Julia on the cover, a beautiful artwork by Julia, and it's still the same artist that did the first cover.
Yeah,
with Pinhead.
And Julia's in the same pose as Pinhead, but it's her like skinned face with the bandages kind of swiping backwards off of her.
And it's going to make an amazing trilogy because they're all going to be consistent with each other. So this is great for like anybody who collects vinyl. And
that collector box that they have that puts them together looks just like the Hellraiser box set Laserdisc with that Pinhead image. With the silhouette of the pins, or just like it, but it's really reminiscent of that.
And for example, the Hellbound comes in Leviathan vinyl, and that has two different editions. Well, it's not two different editions; it's a double LP. So it's going to be either in like this pink vinyl kind of thing. It seems like almost this galaxy effect where they mix the color in the vinyl and the color is kind of splashing outwards. And then there's one that's blue, dark blue as well. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. It says here, Christopher Young returns to score the sequel to Hellraiser with arguably his most terrifying score to date. Hellbound is absolutely terrifying, fusing a large orchestra, choir, and electronics. They don't say anything about being remastered or anything. So it's probably, if you have it on CD, it's probably going to sound the same. But hey, if you're a vinyl collector, this is great. Even if you just want to put it on your wall, it's a great looking set for $30.
And I've never bought a new vinyl. Do they send you like codes for downloading the music or?
That's usually they do. Yeah, usually they do. So I think they should do that as well with this. I'm not, it doesn't say here, but if you are listening to this and you got the Mondo soundtrack for Hellraiser 1, please give us a comment on the comments below. Let us know if you got a code to download it as MP3 or whatever. We'd love to know. I don't have the first set, so I may start looking for the first set so I can get these too.
Yeah, it's neat.
Do you have the first set?
No.
Okay.
The only records I've ever bought were bootlegs. Just because you couldn't get them in any other format.
So what do you mean bootlegs? In what sense? Were they like CD bootlegs?
No, like the only record albums that I ever bought were bootlegs.
Oh, okay. Like in vinyl.
Yeah, because our generation was more cassettes, and
that's
and
true.
Then CDs.
Yep.
So
yep.
and of course, when I was a kid, I had record, turn around along with the story records. Like when you hear R2D2 say "blat," turn the page.
Yeah, I think I got a copy of that in MP3, like the Star Wars storybook or something. Yeah. Seems like this episode has a lot of Star Wars references.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Anyway, so they're still available at mondotees.com. Just check out the music tab for their store and look around. You'll be able to find Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, original motion picture soundtrack LP, and Hellraiser 3. So they look amazing.
Yeah. And another one that, normally if we weren't on hiatus, we would be blogging the crap out of this and talking about it more. But Dark Ditties, the 4th episode, The Witching Hour, has come out on Amazon Prime like 2 months ago, I think.
Yeah. That's so cool. I haven't had a chance to watch it. I apologize. But you did last night, right?
Yeah, well, and it was late. It was like after 11, and I'm like, well, this should be short. And I looked at it. It's 85 minutes long. It's like a feature-length movie.
Wow. Yeah. So, it seems like every episode keeps getting more involved and more, more amazing with more special effects and a longer story.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. There's like this sort of a ghost hunter show that wants to that they're in financial trouble and they take on they take on this case where they're going to be trying to channel this like cultist priest from the cult of the risen word,
Uh-huh.
And and hilarity ensues. It's
So is it darkly comedic or?
no, it's not really comedic. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, not as, only a little tiny bit. I mean, mostly horror movie kind of a thing.
I see.
Yeah.
It says in this feature-length episode, Samantha Carter, Jamila Martin Wingate, has been having nightmares about a dark figure called Tiberius Crane, played by Ethan McKinley. Finally seeking help after years of rejection, Samantha contacts Selwyn Parsons, and I have to open the rest, and Marvin LaFantome, the host of the paranormal TV show The Witching Hour, produced by the unscrupulous George Sinclair, played by Mark Wingate. Oh yeah, Mark Wingate played the villain in Finders Keepers. He was the mobster, the older mobster guy. Yeah, he did a great job.
Now he's this really irritating TV producer.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm probably going to watch it this weekend if I can. Yeah, definitely. I knew this had come out already, and I'm not. I know about the story a little bit. I'm not a huge ghost show kind of guy. I know a lot of people out there love watching ghost show hunters and stuff.
Yeah.
To me, because I mean, I don't believe in ghosts, and that kind of puts me in a skeptic position. And whenever I watch this, but then I just tell myself, you know what, this is just a production. So you just have to see it as kind of a show and see what they can come up with. And that seems to make it more interesting, just hunting Bigfoot and stuff like that. It's some of them I just watch them because the hosts themselves are the show, not so much Bigfoot.
I don't have the patience for reality TV shows that are on cable, because it's every 5 minutes they have a commercial break, but then they have a little teaser. After the commercial break, you'll see this spooky thing that happens, but then they don't get to it. Or when they finally do get to it, it's a real letdown compared to what they were building up to. Yeah,
with Bigfoot stuff, usually it's a lot of night vision footage, a lot of dark stuff, a lot of stuff you can't even make out what they're looking at. And then you don't hear anything, and the hosts all of a sudden go did you hear that? Did you hear that? Where was that coming from? And then they start running with the camera on their shoulder, and it's what did you guys hear? I didn't hear a thing. And then someone goes in the middle of the forest, and it's that's clearly a PA doing that. I mean, come on. It's but it's a show. The hosts are the show. It's not Bigfoot. It's not a ghost. It's the hosts and how much they get involved in it, and their personalities, and sometimes like that show Ghost Track that was developed by Michael Plummedes, the guy who wanted to develop the first idea for the Nightbreed TV show. He did a show called Ghost Track, and that was more of a comedy thing. So there was some ghosts that actually appeared, but it was more about the dynamic of the team that does the show, and that's really what brings the show together. It's the hosts. So I'll watch this.
You know that old 1960 photo of Bigfoot, where he's walking in the woods?
Yeah. There's an actual short film that someone recorded, right?
So my somebody I work with, her father was the guy in the suit.
Really?
Yeah. So he grew up with the guy that took the photo, and that guy promised to give him $1,000 for doing that, and he never got paid.
So you heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
It's a hoax.
Yeah.
There's people who keep making all sorts of documentaries about that movie, and some people really believe that that's true, or they are trying to sell stuff based on that. So it's funny that someone would just say, "Yeah, my dad was the guy in the suit." So the mystery is finally dead.
Yeah. Yeah, she grew up in Eastern Washington.
There you go. Yeah, and it's funny because that suit, Bigfoot has boobs on it. He has breasts. So it's supposed to be a female Bigfoot. I don't know if you ever looked at that picture closely, but
it's a little blurry.
They bring it up every time and say, "Ooh, this seems to be a female because it's got breasts." And it's just Bigfoot walking around going I'm just going over there, and I'm going to turn around, look at you, and then keep going in the woods.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a little sad because if there ever really was a Bigfoot, it gets sort of obfuscated by stuff like this, where
If there was any people who actually think they saw Bigfoot, it's probably just a bear walking on back legs or something.
God. Yeah,
I've seen,
people confuse a manatee for a mermaid.
Yeah, right. Yeah, or I've seen a picture of a bear in Alaska standing up on his back feet and pushing a dumpster full of food behind a restaurant.
Yeah,
and it's like that in the middle of the woods, and someone has been drinking beer and inhaling lots of campfire smoke. They probably look and saw a bear and said, "Oh, it looks like a man, a hairy man standing on his hind feet," and that's how legends are made.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, a lot of stuff in America is created just for the sake of a small town getting some sort of recognition and being able to sell like a memorabilia. Like, oh, this place has the biggest, the biggest ball of yarn in America, or this place has, something else that's, it usually is something just that was created artificially just so people will stop there and take pictures and buy stuff from the gift store.
Yeah, well, like Area 51 and government cover-ups of UFOs. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about that, and like if that stuff were real and the presidents have been in on it, I think our current president probably would have given it away already because he can't stop talking.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. It would already have come out by now. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
It would have been on Twitter.
Yeah. Like, can you believe these aliens? I'm going to shut down visas for people from Mars. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just weird. Yeah, anyway.
They're trying to take our jobs.
They're trying to take our skies. They want to take over this. They want to suck all the water that we have.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the story for V?
Was it they wanted to steal our water? I can't remember.
Was it? I don't know. It's been such a long time since I've seen that. But
I know that there was a sinister. They pretended to be friendly, but they had a sinister plot. That only the resistance people knew about.
I think they wanted to eat us, so they were kidnapping people and freezing them so they could have a stock of stuff to eat or whatever.
Wow.
And then you got ancient alien theories about aliens want to come into our planet to steal our gold to put in their atmosphere, and I'm like, that doesn't work that way. What? Gold in the atmosphere? It's just weird. Yeah, if you look it up, aliens coming in to take our gold, you'll go down the rabbit hole.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff.
I've never heard that one.
It's so weird, yeah.
Yeah, or in like Independence Day started this thing where they like trash their planet, so they got to find a new planet to steal all the resources and trash it and then move on again. Yeah.
And speaking of space and sci-fi, there's been this rumor that keeps coming up, and we've been doing some work and trying to ascertain the truth behind this. And unless we actually get to ask Clive about this, we'll never know, I guess. But there's a rumor that says that Clive Barker was a consultant for Event Horizon.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've seen it come up on Facebook on the Hellbound web forum like several times. Because somebody will always say, hey, anybody seen Event Horizon? And then there's this big, long conversation, and somebody in the comments will say, you all know that Clive Barker consulted for this movie, right? And so if you go back on IMDb, they put that as like a trivia fact on there. It's not like Clive Barker's name is in the credits anywhere, but they've got it as some kind of a trivia fact, which that person must have gotten it from somewhere. And then on top of that, somebody else that we know that's also been on our podcast, Paul, said that it's in Clive Barker, The Dark Fantastic. And so now, but you and you looked through it when I brought this up because I was out of town on vacation, and you flipped through the page, because that's in chronological order of Clive's career, so you can just go to the late 90s and try to find it, and you couldn't find it in there, and I just did that same thing this morning before we started recording. Mm-hmm. I couldn't find it in there either. And I asked him, said, hey, what page number? Where is it at? He was like, I don't have the book on hand.
Yeah, okay, but
you can put it in your hand.
Right. Anyway, so my position on that is that back in 1997, So Clive did a America Online appearance where he would chat with America Online with fans, and this is such a 90s thing to do. I mean, he did a lot of these. And Clive's talking about something, and then he talks about Event Horizon, and what he says makes me believe that he was not a consultant in the movie at all, because it doesn't pan out with what that theory says.
What he's saying is, like, I've heard that this movie Event Horizon has some Hellraiser influence, and it's nice to see that my movie from 30 years ago or whatever, or 20, whenever that was, 20 years ago, I think it was at that time. Still resonates with people, and he says, "You'll have to tell me because I haven't seen the movie."
Yeah, he says, and I'm going to quote directly from him. He talks about, Doug Bradley and Hellraiser. He says, they refer to Doug Bradley as Pinhead, and the name stuck. The rest you probably know. In fact, I remain delighted and surprised that our $900,000 movie still has an audience 10 years later. I've been told, and you out there may know better than I whether this is true, that the new movie Event Horizon, which opened this weekend, looks suspiciously like Hellraiser in space. So, if he had consulted on the movie, he would have said something, right? I mean, that's my stance on this.
And he would know more about the movie than like I heard that this movie is like Hellraiser. It's like, you didn't just hear it; you helped them with it. So I mean, it's not. It seems, unless somebody, my response to this is show me, you know. And so far, the only people that have shown me anything was like one guy sent me a blog post where like a Hellraiser blog post opinion article where somebody said, and by the way, or no, it was about Event Horizon. And it's like, well, they probably just got that from IMDb. Yeah.
So IMDb is well known for having lots of trivia that sometimes is not accurate. Yeah. And because people sometimes use IMDb as kind of like a source for information about movies. Yeah. And, I've edited IMDb movie pages at some time. I've added stuff in.
So have I, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, it's not really vetted very well. Okay. Yeah. And I try to put stuff that was accurate that I knew was correct. Yeah. But there might be people who are like, this movie, every time, and you mentioned Hellbound Web, every time I used to be a big poster at the Hellbound Web when there was a forum. Yeah. And I used to be like the number 1 poster or number 2 poster there. And every time someone brought up Event Horizon, the very next comment would be, if not on the first comment, this movie is like what Hellraiser Bloodlines should have been. And like, it's Hellraiser in space. Yeah. That's the thing for Event Horizon.
Over and over. Yeah. Everybody always says that.
So eventually someone probably came up with the idea that, hey, maybe maybe Clive Barker consulted with them, or someone just came up with that. And then it made its way to IMDb.
Right.
And now people go there and
if you say it enough, it becomes a fact.
Yeah, exactly. So I honestly, my position on this is that it's a rumor. And unless someone can actually ask Clive Barker in one of his upcoming convention appearances, I'm pretty sure he's going to say no. But, meanwhile, a lot of people out there believe this is true. And ultimately, if you believe it's true for you.
Yeah. But it would be good to, I suppose we could ask Phil and Sarah and or Clive, about
that's true.
To clear it up. I meant to do that before this episode, but I didn't get to it.
Well, when you look in Revelations info, the official Clive Barker resource, if you look up Event Horizon, I think the only thing that comes up is that AOL appearance with Clive saying,
Yeah, exactly. And I posted that, in the comments 3 times now, saying, hey, this is the only result you ever get when you pair Clive Barker's name with Event Horizon, with Clive Barker interviews. And he's talking about how he hasn't seen the movie. So,
so this is rumor control, and those were the facts.
You
gotta forgive me. I saw Alien 3 the other day. I bought a DVD of Alien 3, and it's
right.
it still blows my mind.
Yeah, yeah.
I like it. This one came with two versions. It came with the theatrical version, and it came with the special edition. So it's a little longer and has more stuff.
And it follows a different path. It's kind of like Nightbreed, right? There's a different sequence of events that happen when they're trying to trap the alien, and the ending is different.
Both. Yeah. Some people talk about how Alien 3 is terrible. I honestly love that movie. I really like it. They try to do something different. And, as far as I was concerned, Aliens should have ended on 3. That was fine. That was the end of it. Ripley died. The alien is destroyed. Boom. End of story.
It was tough for audiences. And I admit, even for me, it was tough to sit down in the theater and see that and like, oh yeah, by the way, Newt and Hicks are dead, like right at the start.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, it would be great to see them, do something else. But at that point, I think having her be by herself in a planet that's a penal colony, that's nothing but guys, it puts her in a different position. It has a different dynamic than if Hicks was alive and he would be like, protecting her and stuff. So this makes it more. I like the dynamic better because it's just Ripley and a bunch of guys she doesn't know.
I loved the alien and the way it moved. It was the first CGI alien, and it crawling on the ceiling and seeing from its point of view, going around and up and upside down and stuff like that. That was really neat, and it was back to being a horror movie instead of an action movie.
Yeah, and it's such a great cast. I love every character there. Yeah. Every character seems to be so well rounded up. They're not just like two-dimensional cardboard characters that are just there to get killed.
Yeah,
you legitimately get attached to some of those criminals that are in that colony, and it's like, oh, look at this guy, he's a cool guy, like the preacher, the black guy with the glasses.
I really like him.
Yeah. Everybody, it's like, and they're so flawed, but at the same time so charismatic. Yeah. Anyway, so sorry about that tangent thing.
Yeah.
But we like to talk about other movies sometimes because due to our Kickstarter, we're going to be doing some more A through Z of horror, and we're going to be bringing more movies to the table, right?
Yeah, and actually one of those is we're going to be talking about H.R. Giger designed movies. So Alien and Alien 3, H.R. Giger worked directly on those. He didn't do Aliens. And like Poltergeist 2 and the Dune movie that didn't come out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, so speaking of the Kickstarter, I want to thank everybody. Well, and we'll get to the names, but we had a modest goal of $500. We just don't have the staff to keep it up at the pace that we were at for 2019. And that's why we haven't had news blogs really that much. We just don't, if we get help again, maybe the news blogs will come back. But right now, we met our modest goal of paying the bills, and we went on beyond that, and we're able to really kind of set ourselves up for a series of cool episodes to do for next year. We have new sponsors. Don Bertram is coming back. So Don Bertram's Celebrate Imagination, which is we're really excited to have him. He's a Clive Barker fan, longtime Clive Barker fan. He was a proponent of Clive's art, and he helped with galleries and stuff, back in the 90s. And now he's doing a charity in Texas for the Texas Children's Cancer Center, and it's kind of like he does art with the kids. The Imagination, the Celebrate Imagination project.
Yeah, so that's he's been with us pretty much since we started doing Kickstarters, and we really appreciate being on the show with us and all the support that he's given us over the years.
Yeah, and yes, thank you again, Don. I mean, we can't, it's been really neat. I always worry that what if we get a sponsor that's something that's not related at all, and it'd be hard to talk about. But luckily that's not the case. I mean, we're really happy with Don Bertram, and we also got Dark Regions Press as a sponsor.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Because Dark Regions has done so much for, publishing anthologies and Clive Barker books over the years, and, deluxe editions and stuff. They're an amazing publishing company.
And not only a publisher of Clive Barker books, but they also sell books of Clive's that were published by other companies.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
you can go on their site, and they've got a whole Clive Barker section where you can buy a bunch of rare Clive Barker books.
yeah. They were founded by Joe Morey, followed by Chris Morey, and they were founded in 1985. And they've been this independent specialty publisher of horror, dark fiction, fantasy, and science fiction. So thank you so much for being a sponsor of the BarkerCast.
Yeah. We're looking forward to working with you guys and seeing all the cool stuff that you've got coming for us in 2020.
Yeah.
And so, speaking of the Kickstarter, we do have remaining stuff that didn't, because there are only so many backers, but we have a lot of Clive Barker stuff still left over, and I haven't really taken the time yet to figure out what stuff is sold and what hasn't. But I do know we're going to have some Imaginer books available. We have book number 2, and then number 4, 5, and 6 available, and more than one copy of those. So
yeah, so we haven't really thought about how we should sell them. So maybe it's something we can talk throughout the rest of the year and then come up with an idea.
Yeah, and I don't know that I want to save them all the way until like next year in another Kickstarter. I think we might want to do something sooner.
Yeah.
So, if you're interested in one of those and you didn't get around to it or whatever, or maybe didn't see the Kickstarter, just contact us if you want to get one of the Imaginer art books.
Absolutely. Yeah, if it's a really good chance to get these books. They're not going to be available forever, so I think the first one's already sold out. I'm not even sure if the second one is still available. So
I think the second one is also sold out. So that one we have a copy of it, and it's not easy to get. So if you're interested in Imaginer 2, let us know, or or 4, 5, or 6. Because for me, I had 1 through 4, and then at that point, having some money trouble, and it's like I couldn't keep up with the pace of the publication of those books.
Yeah, I was really surprised because the first and the second, they took their time to come out, but then once Phil and Sarah and Clive Barker Archive took this over, they've been really amazing at breakneck speed every single year. Boom, 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 books coming out.
Yeah.
So
sometimes 2 in a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So if you're interested in completing your collection, if there's any of these that you're missing, or if you haven't started your collection, this is a good place to start because we have some books available.
Yeah. One quick thing I want to add in here that wasn't in part of our original episode. We had an editing stretch goal. We've had a couple of people send a message to me that our episodes were kind of too quiet and our levels weren't on par with other ones. So like when you're in the car and you're listening and it goes from one podcast to our podcast, then there'd be like having to change the volume around and stuff. So I'm working on that. We did not hit our podcast editing stretch goals because to edit, to have professional editing is $75 per episode hour. That would be equal about $2,000 for the year. We didn't hit that. We had other goals and we made those, but we didn't make it to the podcast editing. So instead, what we will do is I am going to put a little more effort into that myself. Making sure our levels are higher to start with. So, if you have any other feedback regarding that, just let us know. And we want to thank everybody that contributed to the Kickstarter. First one, the Creative Fund funds by BackerKit. That's not one of our listeners. That's just, I don't think. I mean, that's just like people that donate $1 to get their name out there.
Oh, cool.
But then we have Eduardo Texidor Jr., and he's been a longtime supporter of our podcast and our Kickstarters. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks. And Elena DeGarmo, she's also a longtime supporter and friend of ours, and we met her in L.A.
Yeah.
during the director's cut screening and the Crest. So it was great meeting you there, and thank you so much for supporting us.
Yeah, so glad to see your name again. And we've got John Vitez
and Christopher Meyer
and George Hadjipateras, and that's a name I recognize from other Kickstarters that we've had in the past. And so glad to have you back again.
Yeah. Paul Schaaf, thank you so much for contributing.
And Johnathan Q has been a guest on the podcast before.
Hey, Johnny. Yeah, awesome. And David Anderson, also one of our longtime supporters and friends. He's also been in an episode of our podcast once.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, David.
Lori Bische.
From Simon Banford Fans. Yeah. Thank you, Lori, for contributing to our podcast. And Rob Ridenour.
Yep. And Rob Ridenour, of course, he was a longtime supporter before he became like a news correspondent on our podcast. So we're hoping to do more stuff with you again in the future, Rob.
Yeah, I miss you, Rob. Let's get back in touch. Yeah. But thanks for contributing to the project. And Anais Mangot-Brione, thank you so much for your support of our Kickstarter.
And Catalina Querida of Little Spark Films.
Yeah, you guys got some exciting projects coming up. So you just did a whole bunch of Pyramid Gallery box videos and stuff. So I'm looking forward to seeing those. Yeah, tell Joe I said hi.
They just recently had a Facebook Live video, and I watched that last night. Talking about all the stuff that they've got going on. They're working on a feature film called Evil for Breakfast, right? It's, so they've got that. They've got the Paul Kane short film,
The Torturer.
The Torturer. That they've almost finished editing it. It sounds like. So that should be out sometime soon in the new year. They might be bringing it to festivals before they make it available to everybody.
Derek Horwood, who also contributed to us by also helping us create the pins that were part of the Kickstarter, the lovely pins with Pinhead and Pelican. So thank you so much for your continued support, Derek.
Yeah, and a longtime supporter, too.
Yeah.
And then we have Dale Lindsay.
Thank you for your support. We got Justin Albiston. Thank you for being part of the Kickstarter.
Yeah, and Drew Golburgh. Thanks, Drew, for helping us out.
You rock. Simon Altman, thank you for your support.
Yeah, another longtime contributor. And then a new contributor, this Dark Regions Press that we talked about before. Excited about working with you guys. Yeah.
It's amazing that you guys are a sponsor now. Thank you so much for your support. And let's see what you guys have for us in 2020.
Yeah.
An anonymous guest that didn't want his name to be said. So thank you very much for your support.
Yep. And Paul Audino. And I think also that's a longtime supporter.
You are keeping us alive through 2020. And Mark Bruce, thank you so much for your support on our Kickstarter.
Nick Ford, thanks also.
Brant Finstad. Thank you very much.
Brant Finstad is somebody I work with. He's another borough appraiser like me.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So that I thought that was really nice.
You've been spreading the gospel.
Yeah, and I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons with him on alternate weekends.
Joe Manco from Little Spark Films. Thank you, Joe, so much. And we're looking forward to seeing all the stuff you guys are doing with Little Spark Films across the year of 2020.
Yeah. And M. Woodie. Thank you so much, M. Woodie.
Yeah. Matt Batten. Thank you for supporting our Kickstarter.
He's another longtime supporter. And then Kev Clark. Thank you so much, Kev.
Suzanne Sudi. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah.
We appreciate your support of the Kickstarter, and thank you so much. I hope you enjoy our shows in 2020.
And Don Bertram, we're happy to have you back again, and looking forward to doing another year of talking about Celebrate Imagination.
Many hugs, Don. We love your work, and I just want to give him a plug for his Etsy shop here. It's etsy.com/shop/celebrate imagination. So he's got stuff for sale there, artwork that he does. So go there and help support Celebrate Imagination.
Yeah. And then, of course, Marcus Justin Williams. He's been a supporter of our podcast. He's been a contributor. He's written some really good reviews about the Imaginer books, which I've been kind of sharing. I shared one of those to promote the Imaginer book and the upcoming Imaginer series that we're gonna do.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. It was for number 5, I think, that he reviewed, or
yeah, he reviewed 4 and 5 on our blog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Marcus.
Yeah. So that's cool news. I hope we can do some more stuff with you. And when we talk about Abarat 3 and the Imaginer series, I hope that you'll join us.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we got some books to catch up on.
Yeah, definitely. And that kind of brings us to what's coming next. So, of course, we're going to be working on our book some more, and this is not just stalled out. We've got like 200 pages on the Word file so far. So there's going to be a lot of dropping in the transcribed episodes and then editing to the right format, and then I've also been giving each one as I go in, and I've been giving it a listen and kind of making a final edit on them to make sure that it's accurate. And then after that, we're going to edit them for content, because people go off on tangents talking about something else that's not Nightbreed and maybe not as relevant, or maybe belongs in a different book. Then we'll cut that stuff out.
And we want people to still go and listen to the episodes themselves, because that's where the content shines. This is more going to be like edited interviews about things that concern mostly Nightbreed.
Yeah, and before we start editing out the content, I do want to take those kind of finalized versions, and drop them into the blog posts for the episodes, so that they'll be added into the show notes for the future.
Yeah. It's just, we're just going through some changes right now. Like I said, I might be moving out of state after the holidays, and it's just, I'm actually packing stuff right now, and it all affects the time we have available for these things. And also, you've been working really hard, and it's winter in Fairbanks, which means lots of snow, right?
God damn. Yeah, it was minus 40. It was minus 40 yesterday.
And my God.
I had to go knock on people's doors, and they didn't want to talk to me because they didn't want their door to be standing open.
This is an aside, but there's I read the other day, there's a remote location in Russia, I think it might be in Siberia, where it gets down to minus 144.
Oh, God.
and there's a remote outpost with scientists there, and when they come out, if you breathe in air that's so cold, it can hemorrhage your lungs. So they have to wear a special mask to heat up the air when they breathe in, so they won't breathe in air that cold. And it's crazy. It's crazy where people end up living.
That's like being on the moon.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And Fairbanks is the coldest place in the United States, right? One of the coldest places, if not the coldest.
Yeah, but never 104 minus 145.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We'll be doing 2019 in review. Probably going to be one of our first episodes in January, right?
Yeah. And I'm excited about that, because that's been a tradition of ours. Our very first episode was one of those. It was 2011 in review. So, we'll be starting our 9th year, because we did all of 2000 and So we've done 8 years, and we'll be starting our 9th year.
Right. By January 1st, we'll be completing our 8th year and going well into our 9th year. Wow, 9 years of this, huh? That's amazing.
Yeah, so 2019 year in review. I like doing those episodes, and I like preparing them, because I like to see, like, oh yeah, that happened this year. Because sometimes you forget, it all kind of blurs together. So we'll be doing audio commentary and blog posts and review and stuff of Dark Ditties number 4, The Witching Hour. And I think Lori will be joining us again.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
It's always fun. And maybe we can get Gary Smarts to come in and talk to us. I haven't even watched number 4, so I need to watch it first, and then we'll work on that.
Yeah. Well, and I knew that when I watched it last night, I would be watching it again to prepare, and then another time, for the commentary. So, but it's fun, and I think that series people should really check it out on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, and also those documentaries that they've been doing, Leviathan, the story of Hellbound and Hellraiser and Hellbound Hellraiser 2.
Yeah.
You know, the RoboCop documentary, they're doing a Police Academy documentary. They're doing all sorts of documentaries.
Ghostbusters, right? Cleaning up the town.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Now that there's going to be, did you see the trailer for Ghostbusters Afterlife?
I did. Yeah, that looks really interesting.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like they made a sort of a Stranger Things version of Ghostbusters.
Yeah, like Goonies, Stranger Things kind of thing. There's even a kid from Stranger Things in the movie. So
is there? Yeah.
Yeah. Flynn Wolfhard, I think that's his name.
Okay.
Yeah, he's from Stranger Things. So,
it's really a teaser trailer because they're, everything that we'd heard up to this point was like all about, which cast from the old Ghostbusters movies were going to be returning. But then the trailer doesn't show them at all.
Yeah, this is just a teaser. I guess we'll know more as they start teasing more stuff and talking more about the project. So I don't know a lot. I just saw the teaser the other day, so I have not been keeping up with it. So
well, and I don't like reading too much because I just like to go in there, not knowing.
Sure,
surprised.
Yeah.
A to Z commentaries are going to come back. And we did A last year, so we'll continue on to B is for Beelzebub, and that's mainly about the Exorcist movies.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't really talk about this. I mean, I really want to do Exorcist 1 and probably that, new extended version of it. And I'd also like to do Exorcist 3 because people talk about that movie a lot, and I have to admit that I saw it when it came out with like a Dungeons and Dragons group in high school, and I fell asleep because it was like 2:00 in the morning. So I've never actually seen that movie all the way through. I remember like a creepy part with the statue walking. That's all I remember from it.
And James Earl Jones is in that movie too, right?
Oh, is he? Okay,
that's awesome. I think so. It's been a while since I haven't seen it. I think Fabio is in Exorcist 3 as well. It plays an angel.
And I'd probably watch Exorcist 2 on my own just to sort of connect the dots. Sure. I've heard that's a terrible movie and we don't need to spend a lot of time on it, but just on my own I'll probably do that.
Yeah, I'm probably mixing movies together here, but I need to rewatch that. I know I've seen the first one, and I actually read the book before I watched the movie, that was interesting, and it was pretty well adapted. Yeah, I mean the director of that movie is crazy. So it's going to be great to dive into those and know more stuff about it because I always kind of wanted to know more about the Exorcist series. So this will be a good chance. It's going to be B is for Beelzebub. Yep.
Yeah, and then we'll continue on with our stretch goals. We got all the way through the letter H. So we'll be doing a lot of audio commentaries this year, and I'm looking forward to that. And then Abarat 3, Absolute Midnight, because because of time we didn't make it all the way to Abarat 3 for 2019, but we will continue to get through that, and we'll see if we can get Peggy O'Leary again and Marcus again and see if we can put that together sometime in the next few months.
That would be tremendous. And Clive, please hurry up and make Abarat 4.
Yeah.
We want to be able to do that too. And of course, we'll review the Imaginary series. Now that we've got more books to fill in the gaps on our collections, we'll be able to go into that and review them and talk about them and talk about our favorite paintings and just let you guys know how awesome this series is because it's really for Clive Barker fans who love his painting. This is the thing to have.
Yeah, and we're so grateful to Phil and Sarah for sending those to us. I mean, they sent us lots of copies to both to sell and for us to have so that you and I right now, I mean, I haven't sent yours to you yet, but we have 1 through 6. And then we'll use and then we'll buy ourselves number 7 from the proceeds when we get those.
And number 8.
Yeah, and number 8 when it eventually comes out. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to see all of them on the shelf. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. And I was thinking of swapping out number 4 because I have the special edition one with the big old cardboard, the big tray case.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I like the way they look without that.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, and that's probably worth more. I probably will swap mine out for the normal one.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's our plan for 2020. It's not going to be. We're probably not going to do weekly, but we'll definitely do all the goals that we promised in the Kickstarter. And if there's news episodes, we might mix them in together with topic episodes.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm looking forward to 2020. It's going to be a year of change and possibly conclusions. We'll see how that goes. It would be great if we could go for 10 years and make it like a big round number. We're just running out of things to talk about. But hopefully 2020 will be generous for Clive Barker fans, and we'll be able to continue talking about more stuff coming out, like the Nightbreed TV show or Candyman. All these things that are still in the can, being prepared, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and I'm excited about those things, and really, this Kickstarter really has allowed us to prepare 1 year at a time, and then we think about, okay, what's 2020 going to be like? So we don't really know from beyond that if we're going to keep going, but we'll just see how things are shaking out and kind of make the decision then.
And as usual, I mean, I just want to let the fans and the listeners know, if you guys got topics that you think, hey, I have something here that you guys probably never spoke about, just put a comment on below the post and let us know about it, and send us a message. Tell us what you'd like to see discussed. And if we haven't talked about it yet, we might be able to add that to a topic episode.
Yeah, and if you make it audio, we can just, paste it right into the edited podcast episode.
Sure. Make us a submission, give us, something that we can put in. We'd love to put in audio reviews. Go on iTunes, give us a written review. That really helps out. It seems like some years we have not promoted the podcast as much, and it seems like it reflects on the Kickstarter. But if you got friends that love Clive Barker, just give them a link to our podcast and let them know that we have 8 years of content that they can go through.
Yeah. I mean, more in the past we sort of focused on, hey, give us a good review, but like Jose just said, the thing that actually helps us the most is just telling your other friends that are Clive Barker fans about us. Yeah,
we're not the kind of people who go like, hey, guys, give us a like and subscribe, and go subscribe to our YouTube channel and like us on Instagram and Facebook. And we don't really do that. It's more like, hey, if you like it, if you made your way to us, then you know that we're going to be offering you all this content, and we're going to be talking to you. And we're accessible guys. We're open people. You got suggestions, send them our way. We won't take it like personally or anything.
Yeah. I mean, we really saw we saw something that was missing in podcasts. That there was nothing about Clive Barker, and so as fans, we wanted to fill that. And this is we do it for the fans, and we are fans.
Yep. And that's pretty much it. So I guess it's time to go to our closer sentence and say,
okay.
And this podcast, having no beginning, will have no end. Thanks, guys, and have happy holidays.
Yeah, happy holidays. Happy Solstice and Merry Christmas.
Yep, and Merry Yule and Hanukkah and whatever.
Yeah. You can find the show notes for this episode and join the discussion over at www.clivebarkercast.com. We've got an archive of past episodes, news, features, and reviews, along with all the ways you can connect with us. You can subscribe on every other place you can find podcasts. Share your thoughts with us and share our podcast with your friends. The Clive Barker Podcast, or BackerKit, is an independent editorial podcast and news blog that's not affiliated with or under contract by Clive Barker or Seraphim Inc. This is a labor of love by the fans for the fans.
Thanks for listening.